Salesforce PD1 certification dumps. Q11, a developer created a child Lightning Web Component nested inside a parent Lightning Web Component. The parent component needs to pass a string value to the child component. In which two ways can this be accomplished? Choose two answers. A. The parent component can invoke a method is the child component. B. The parent component can use the Apex controller class to send data to the child component. C. The parent component can use a custom event to pass the data to the child component. D. The parent component can use a public property to pass the data to the child component. The answer is C. The parent component can use a custom event to pass the data to the child component. D. The parent component can use a public property to pass the data to the child component. Q12, what should a developer do to check the code coverage of a class after running all tests? A. View the code coverage percentage for the class using the overall code coverage panel in the Developer Console Tests tab. B. View the class test percentage tab on the Apex class list view in Salesforce Setup. C. View the code coverage column in the list view on the Apex classes page. D. Select and run the class on the Apex test execution page in the Developer Console. The answer is option A. View the code coverage percentage for the class using the overall code coverage panel in the Developer Console Tests tab. Q13, how should a developer write unit tests for a private method in an Apex class? A. Add a test method in the Apex class. B. Use the test visible annotation. C. Use the see all data annotation. D. Mark the Apex class as global. The answer is option B. Use the test visible annotation. Q14, what are three capabilities of the tag when loading JavaScript resources in Aura components? Choose three answers. A. Specifying loading order. B. Loading files from documents. C. Loading externally hosted scripts. D. Loading scripts in parallel. E. One-time loading for duplicate scripts. The answer is option A. D. A. Specifying loading order. D. Loading scripts in parallel. E. One-time loading for duplicate scripts. Q15, an org has an existing flow that creates an opportunity with an update records element. A developer must update the flow to also create a contact and store the created contact's ID on the opportunity. Which update must the developer make in the flow? A. Add a new rollback records element. B. Add a new update records element. C. Add a new create records element. D. Add a new get records element. The answer is option C. Add a new create records element. Q16, which three resources in an Aura component can contain JavaScript functions? Choose three answers. A. Renderer. B. Style. C. Controller. D. Design helper. The answer is A. Renderer. C. Controller. helper. Q17, a custom pickist held, food preference _C, exists on a custom object. The picklist contains the following options: vegan, kosher, no preference. The developer must ensure a value is populated every time record is created or updated. What is the optimal way to ensure a value is selected every time a record is saved? A. Mark the field as required on the object's page layout. B. Set use the first value in the list as the default value to true. C. Mark the field as required on the field definition. D. Write an apex trigger to ensure a value is selected. The answer is option C. Mark the field as required on the field definition. Q18, Universal Cantainers, UC, wants to lower its shipping cost while making the shipping process more efficient. The distribution officer advises UC to implement global addresses to slow multiple accounts to share a deluje address. The developer is tasked to create the supporting object and relationship for TE business req and uses the setup menu to create a custom object called global address. Which field should the developer add to create the most efficient model that supports the business need? A. Add a lookup field on the global address object to the account object. B. Add a master detail field on the account object to the global address object. C. Add a lookup field on the account object to the global address object. D. Add a master detail field on the global address object to the account object. The answer is option C. Add a lookup field on the account object to the global address object. Q19, what are three considerations when using the inescabletethod annotation in Apex? Choose three answers. A. A method using the vocable method annotation must define a return value. B. Only one method using the @invocable method annotation must be defined per Apex class. C. A method using the @invocable method annotation must be declared as static. D. A method using the @invocable method annotation can be declared as public or global. E. A method using the invocable child annotation can have multiple input parameters. The answer is option B. Only one method using the @invocable method annotation must be defined per Apex class. C. A method using the @invocable method annotation must be declared as static. D. A method using the @invocable method annotation can be declared as public or global. Q20, which statement describes the execution order when triggers are associated to the same object and event? A. Triggers are executed in the order they are created. B. Triggers are executed in the order they are modified. C. Triggers are executed alphabetically by trigger name. D. Trigger execution order cannot be guaranteed. The answer is option D. Trigger execution order cannot be guaranteed. www.salesforcestart.com +91 939 393 4143 Salesforcestart